Now there are more ways to help. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
And good morning. You're listening to 910 AM The Superstation. My name's Robert Ficano. We're joined this morning by our usual co-host here, right here, Keith Williams.
What's going on?
Hey, you were up late watching the basketball game, too.
Yeah, and I got upset about that. They playing them grown men, man. The guy's 28 years old playing basketball in college.
And Scotty Boman's here with us, our local libertarian here is with us this morning. Yeah, last night was a tough night for Michigan State. I didn't realize you said that there were 3 fifth-year seniors on there.
Yeah, the guy, the white guy, the Pete Maravich on the team. This guy went to Air Force. He went to South Dakota. Man, this guy's a well-traveled guy. I ain't mad at him, but you know he reminds you of that the kid that played for Villanova last year. He couldn't stop. You couldn't miss. This guy was shooting. This boy couldn't miss, Bob.
Yeah. He's hitting at the end. He was hitting everything. He scored like 22 points, and I don't think they expected it. But yeah, you're right. There was a lot of seniors out there.
Man, it's getting ridiculous, man. And then the young kids, parents getting paid off. You know.
The attorney for Stormy Daniels, who's been caught up in that, he's been indicted in that whole thing with Nike. And he didn't back down. He released all the documents that he had on Nike, allegedly, and I'm saying that there was payoff to over 100 basketball players and their parents.
See, they should be careful who they mess with. Okay, because your other friend trying to stay out of jail, the one who's been exposed to Donald Trump. So these lawyers, man, your friends, man,
all those lawyers, you got to watch.
All them lawyers, you got to watch.
Hey, don't forget
man.
It was Dean that brought down Nixon, another lawyer who was in the inside. Yeah. That was part of that.
It was what you call save your ass. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then you got Mike Morris, this guy. He giving out backpacks, but he getting deals before everybody else could get the deal, man. He's an inside trader, man.
Yeah, one of the big things that they've exposed about what's going on is that there are police officers and stuff that are at traffic accidents, and they file the accident report. In theory, there's a lot of attorneys that go and buy the accident reports. Well, apparently they were giving some preferred attorneys those accident reports before they actually were ever filed. So they would go and solicit them for business.
Wasn't Mike Moore's sister or something involved in it, too?
Yeah, she was connected into it, too.
She turned on her brother, didn't she?
I don't know if she turned, but I think she's talking. So
yeah, she's talking.
I don't know what she's talking about with everything that's happening. Well, one of the big questions that has been coming up has been with Joe Biden. Have we reached the point where everybody's known this about him? Now, does he interfere with people's personal space? He probably does, and somebody should have whispered to him, what you can do or not do in doing that. But everybody agrees it was nothing that he did that was a sexual connotation to it or anything like that in terms of what he was doing. And it looks like right now that he's getting pulverized. A lot of people think it's Bernie Sanders people. Or at least they're speculating that it is.
Bob, I am tired of the Me Too the Me Too movement. I'm tired of it. Okay. Even some women I talked to this over the weekend, they said some of the women are getting ridiculous now. So because of you guys, because y'all started y'all stuff, today I'm starting the He Too movement.
Which is a compound that can't exist in
Hashtag He Too, He number 2. Because, man, hey, Joe Biden is a 20th century candidate trying to fit his personality into the 21st century politician.
I was reading an article over the weekend. It was actually in the Wall Street Journal. It was a columnist that said, okay, imagine that you're the leader of China, and you're looking at all the world events that are going on. You know that you want to dominate the world, and there's good or bad, there's the superpower that's standing in your way, which is the United States. There's still an economic stronghold. They still militarily are level with you and everything else. So you go to your aides and you say, I want to find out what's going on in that country and what's going in terms of how we're going to compete with them economically and things like that. And your aide comes back and says, well, they're arguing this week whether Joe Biden should have sniffed that woman's hair.
Well, you know what I'm wondering is, what's the point in selling these scented shampoos if you don't want your hair sniffed?
Yeah.
Don't wear scented shampoo.
That's a good one, Scotty. But man,
I don't think you're supposed to stick your nose in the woman's hair, though. That he went too
but
far.
then guess what, Bob? I get your point, but even the women said he wasn't being sexually engaging
aggressive,
and stuff like that, aggressive. This thing is getting, the news media should start investigating before they roll these so-called Me Too movement people out.
Well, what's interesting about it is that the woman from Nevada that has made the accusation, if you look at, I did read an article on her in her background. She has made several complaints about she's run for other offices, and apparently there has been she has filed other complaints against others, and it could have been very legitimate in terms of what she was filing. But they also talked about that she went to a nonprofit to California, that she wanted attention, and that she thought that she should be getting more of the media attention instead of for being on the nonprofit or working for the nonprofit. And they eventually had to go their own separate ways because the nonprofit wouldn't, quote, showcase her as much as she wanted to be showcased.
Bob, there's some women out there got some legitimate issues, and I don't want to just disregard that. But some of the stuff, man, they just coming up with some crazy stuff, man. You can't even look at a woman. I do this when I walk down the street now. I got something on my eyes. Okay. Bob, you can't look at them now, man. You can't say nothing. You're being sexually seductive and all this other stuff. Get out of here.
Well, the problem is it's causing an issue for the Democrats in terms of where is the tripping line that is considered serious in terms of they went after John Conyers. Look at the Congress. They went after John Conyers.
The senator of Minnesota. They went after him. Kristen Gillibrand, she is the main culprit.
Yeah, she went after him. There was no due process involved, and he was pressured to leave. And in terms of that, then you had the thing then in Virginia where you had the lieutenant governor that two women came out and said that he sexually assaulted them when they were in college and things like that. And the other Democrats, sort of presidential candidates, have sort of stayed away from that. So either, if you're going to go and say that you shouldn't be doing it, period, that means it probably should go across the board, and you're not seeing that.
Bob, another thing, too. I'm not being hard this morning. Amy Klobuchar, she should get out the race. She can't win. She's not, I don't know what, she don't excite anybody. Let's take the whole list. Half the list should be kicked out. Just because they ain't going to win, Bob. Then another guy, Tim Ryan, he's running for president. All these guys running for president, you're not going to win.
Yeah, one of the questions.
Kristen Gillibrand, another one, she's not going to win.
So are they weaponizing the Me Too movement? I mean, they're weaponizing it to go after other candidates.
Yeah, I think part of the role, and speaking as a minor party person, I get this. With
Mr. Libertarian.
Within a major party like the Democratic Party, I can still see the role of a candidate who knows he or she can't win running anyway to press an issue and leveraging that issue to hopefully make that part of the debate. And in that way, get one of the candidates who does have a chance of winning to pick up that issue so that when that candidate drops out, that person's support base backs that candidate.
Yeah, but these folks are ridiculous, man. There's some legitimacy to the Green movement, but they roll it out, don't have all the facts right. Then they got this girl, Cortez. She's doing a wonderful job. Now she's become the issue. And you know who's still steady is Nancy Pelosi. She's still steady. She's got her game plan to win. I read something yesterday. She got her game plan to win in 2020. They need to listen to the old heads. Right now, let's work on a transitional candidate, but let's go with Joe Biden right now and Kamala Harris. Tamla, she got issues. She had the Hillary issue, put black men in jail. But we'll forgive you for that, okay? Bernie need to go sit somewhere. Bernie is done. He's like Donald Trump. They don't want to show their tax returns.
Yeah, Bernie won't show his tax returns, which is interesting because you have you got the Democrats. They have they've officially subpoenaed Biden or Trump's tax returns. And his lawyers come out and said that they aren't going to do it, although the law's been around since 1923.
Yes,
it was actually instituted because of the corruption of Hoover. I believe it was Hoover. I can't remember.
What's the penalty for non-compliance?
He can, it's a criminal offense.
But it's the IRS who's supposed to hand over their returns.
But they work for the Treasury Department.
You work for the Treasury Department.
And the Treasury, the treasurer is appointed by Trump.
So Trump is
and the commissioner of the IRS was appointed by Trump too.
Yeah.
So is Trump in the chain? Did he actually give an instruction to them?
Well, he's saying publicly that he's not going to do it. That like you said, he's been the longest audited person I think in the history of the United States.
Right, but I'm saying it's not really up to him. It's up to the IRS. And is the IRS being instructed by him to not release them?
They said that the IRS is going to ask the Justice Department for the interpretation of that statute that was passed in 1923. So
yeah, but Bob, he's got a long-lasting audit. I ain't never heard nothing like this. He's a big liar, man. The guy should, man, anytime. This guy lies constantly. Every minute on the minute, he's lying about something. I'm the greatest this, and I did the greatest deal.
And we found out that he cheats at golf pretty good, too.
Yeah, and then he had a hookup with his father. His father was a racist. His father didn't want African-Americans in his apartment buildings. So he inherited all kinds of negative traits. Now he don't even know where his parents were born.
Yeah. Did you see that one? He was talking with the German ambassador, and he said that he wanted Germany his usual mantra, he wanted Germany to contribute more to NATO and stuff. But he said, but I got a soft spot for Germany. My dad was born in Germany, and he came over. And so he's going through this whole narrative. And it's not true. His dad was born in the Bronx.
Wasn't his grandfather, though, from Germany?
Well, he is of German background, but his dad was born in the Bronx. He wasn't born in Germany. Yeah. He didn't come over here from Germany. I mean, that's the whole point. The guy, he makes it up as he goes along.
He's just a lie. Can I ask you guys a question? You think this guy Buddha Kid,
he raised $7 million. Huh? He raised $7 million. Yeah, the former mayor, he is the mayor, isn't he, of South Bend, Indiana?
You know where he getting that money from.
Huh? What's his name?
Buddha Keg.
Buddha Keg.
He meant
sounds like something like having a big beer party around a statue of a chubby prophet or something.
But he'd be the first gay president.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he raised $7 million.
Yeah, you know he's raising it from.
He's doing well. I mean, he comes out of South Bend. There's a lot of money in South Bend. At university as well.
The gay movement's got a lot of money, man.
Yeah,
they really do.
Yeah.
But I'm just, man, come on, let's get somebody we can win with. I want to win.
Yeah. Well, the thing.
Not to say he's not a good candidate. They say he's got some great ideas, but Bob. Why is the Democratic Party always mad at business folks, man? Let me make some money, too.
Yeah.
Y'all want to take all my money, with all these different projects. They go to sleep thinking of crazy stuff. But I'm a Democrat. Let's be pro-growth and have some societal values. What's wrong with that, Bob?
There's nothing wrong with it. They're going to need business to exist, although they're making business the enemy on a lot of the platforms, unfortunately.
Yeah, some of the guys that mess with that environment, they need down in Louisiana, them folks need to go to jail, man, But come on, Bob, you can't business got to exist, and the community they got to coexist with one another.
I'm saying, just imagine if all the business people went on strike.
You can join us at 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. We have with us Keith Williams and Scotty Boman. I'd like to hear from some Bernie supporters out there. Do you think it's right that Bernie isn't releasing his taxes? I mean, you have the President of the United States are subpoenaing his taxes. By the way, that's going to be an issue because here's the way the law works. It is a felony to release those taxes. They can look at it in camera, and they can look at it privately, the committee chair and some of the members of the committee, but it's against the law to release a person's taxes to the public. So they want to see it, but if somebody leaks it, that means somebody should go to jail for leaking it.
But can the news media subpoena or can they FOIA his tax returns?
No.
Once the Congress get their hands on it.
Right. No, the law prohibits any private citizen's tax returns from being published or being let out. Yeah, that's part of that. Yeah. So I mean, that's So yeah, that's the problem. It's going to get leaked, and then all of a sudden you're going to have the Justice Department running around and saying
the
who leaked
Justice Department is his partner.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he appoints. Obviously, we've seen that with the bar and what he's doing with it. So it's going to happen. All right, we got to go to a quick break. Wardell, hold on. We're going to get to you right after the break. Appreciate it. You're listening 910 AM, The Superstation.
Bob,
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has answered calls for recovery and treatment 24/7, 365 days a year. If you're depressed, drinking, using drugs, or taking pills, call now and talk to someone who cares.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Most insurance covers substance abuse. You can get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call 800-379-4799, 800-379-4799.
Hi, I'm Joan London with A Place for Mom. Over the years, we've helped thousands of families find senior care, and today's senior living communities have never been better. With amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And nobody understands your options like the advisors at A Place for Mom. These are local expert advisors that will partner with you to find the perfect place and determine the right level of care, whether that's just a helping hand or full-time memory care. Best of all, it's a free service. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family, we know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Call A Place for Mom right now to get our free ebook on financing senior care as well as a free referral for senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-436-2907. That's 1-800-436-2907.
40 million. That's the number of free phones still available and the number of how many Americans can still get prescriptions free.
Free could be wonderful. That's why I'm still working at 77 years old to pay off my prescriptions.
I needed to have a prescription filled and I had to leave because I couldn't afford it.
Call now and see what's available for you. Free prescriptions. Over 10 million people get prescriptions free, and the program has expanded so another 40 million can. Free dental. Over 15,000 dentists have provided over $330 million in free dental work. Free cell phones. 40 million free cell phones are still available with free minutes and more.
Free cell phone would change my life right now because it is something I cannot afford to get.
Medical supplies like back braces, knee braces, and diabetic supplies may be covered too. The free RX Plus hotline has saved callers over $12 million on their prescription costs. These free programs are now available to 40 million more people. Call now.
The day you lose your strength is the day you lose your independence. Muscle is lost with age, affecting your energy, balance, and mobility. Before you know it, you're depending on others just to get through the day. But you can reverse and prevent muscle loss. Introducing MyoHealth, a revolutionary proven approach to increased muscle strength and function in as little as 30 days. Live life on your terms with more energy and confidence.
After a serious health issue put me down, MyoHealth's getting me back up again.
I'm doing activities that I haven't done for a long time. It really works.
MyoHealth is a safe, natural dietary supplement, the result of decades of research and 24 human clinical studies. You can live stronger at any age with greater strength, mobility, balance, and energy. Call or go online now and take the MyoHealth 30-Day Strength Challenge.
Good morning. You're listening to 910 AM The Superstation. My name's Robert Ficano. You can join us at 313-778-7600. Also with me is Keith Williams and Scotty Boman. We have Wardell. Wardell, you're on the 910 AM The Superstation.
Yes, well, I'm glad to be on your show. It sounds exciting. I'm a Bernie fan, unapologetically a Bernie fan, and I'm not sure what's going on about the taxes, but that doesn't even sound like him not to want to deal with his taxes. Out of all the senators that we have, he's among the least rich of all of them.
No,
that's not true. He has a lot of wealth in his family.
Money. And his wife is corrupt too. She ran that university, and she was getting kickbacks and doing something.
No. That has not been proven to be true. You know, that's not been proven to be true. And I don't think.
I think the university she ran has gone bankrupt.
It goes bankrupt.
It went bankrupt, and there's questions about the loans that they got. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Wendell.
No. If you look at it, and I checked out into it, I don't think it was anything that they did that was fraudulent. They had some issues and they had some problems, you know.
Well, apparently she oversold the number of donors that they said were giving to the college, and so she put that on the bank loan. You know, they were getting a loan from some financial institution, and apparently there wasn't a lot of truth in the number of donors they had that were contributing to the college or to the university. I think it was a college. And so it eventually went bankrupt, and a lot of people have alleged that the feds were looking at it, but that it's gotten backed off because of who she was or who she was married to.
Bernie's corrupt like the rest of them.
No, I don't. You know what? I don't believe that. I don't.
But then release his tax returns. Then release his tax returns. He's like Donald Trump, speaking out both sides of his mouth.
He's the opposite of Donald Trump. He's the complete opposite.
We don't know because Bernie ain't never passed a bill in his life.
But he's got the 1%. He's the 1% attacking the 1%.
Look at his progressive record over the last 30 years.
What progressive man? All Bernie has been rhetoric. He never passed a bill. He's not a Democrat. He wanted cavalierly to come back to the Democratic Party when he wants something. Stay where you at, Bernie.
No, you're just a Bernie basher, and you have the right to be so. You know.
Tell me what has he done? What laws has he passed?
Yeah, what's he gotten through in the Congress?
Yes.
You know, but I don't know all the details. Okay, I don't claim.
Don't advocate for him. You need to do your homework.
But why do you support him, Wardell? Why do you support him? What do you think he's done or he could do?
I think he's done a lot of great things. You know, even the universal health care, he supported that.
Support, sir. Barack Obama got it done, sir. What has Bernie done? All Bernie did is rhetoric. He's rhetoric.
You know, Bernie gets crowds, 8, 10, 20, 15, 20,000 people. He's well loved by a lot of people. He's challenged the authority over the last 30, 40 years.
That's all he does.
So you can't do it necessarily by comparing crowds because Trump gets big crowds too.
And he's inspiring a lot of young people who you call radical to get involved.
No, I don't call them radicals. I just call they kind of missed displaced. You know, I'm just saying.
Well, one thing. Well, let me just say that I know I can't stay on too long.
Go ahead.
When you look at the policies that Bernie has talked about, whether it's the minimum wage, universal health care, whether it's climate science, the environment, the infrastructure, you look at all those policies that Bernie has championed for years and years. These policies are approved by 60 to 70% of the American public.
Climate change isn't a policy. It's something that the Earth has been doing for billions of years.
But when McConnell, and a lot of them didn't like it, when McConnell put that vote up to support the Green Deal, did Bernie vote for it?
It was some, you know what, there were some issues around that. But when you really check it out, Bernie studies these issues and everything.
I know, but he didn't vote for it, did he? I think he voted present, didn't he? He didn't vote for it.
You know what?
I mean,
he had a reason.
I know he had a reason because he didn't really believe in what the Green Deal was all about at that point, or he thought that it was too radical. I'm not sure why he didn't.
I think he basically believed in the concept. He may have some issues around it, you know. So I think when you really look at it, he studies and he doesn't want to just make a lot of brash statements and all of that, you know, without it being confirmed. So basically, I think when you look at him over the years, the reason he's won the years that he has, a lot of people really like him. They see the younger folks like him. He gets the crowds out there. He's
Sir,
you know.
he's like the guy that shows up, get y'all all hyped, and then he goes back and hide.
No, you know what? I would like for you to have someone. You know, I'm not part of the campaign. You know, someone who really knows a little more about it, a little more.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Bernie's a fraud to me. He's a fraud, and he looks.
Okay.
We need, you know, Biden and him almost 80, 90 years old, man. Come on.
Well, they're 70 or something.
Age. Hold on, I'm not against age. But Bernie,
you know, we're getting old, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting old too, Bob. Come on, man.
But I thought you would encourage people if you're elderly or senior citizen.
No, I say Biden. Hold on, look at Biden. He dressed nice. He looks like a presidential candidate. Bernie looks like a bum, man. He just shows up. That same rhetoric, that same stuff. Okay, come on, man.
Okay, you know, when you just have an innate prejudice against somebody.
No, I ain't got no age prejudice. I'm just saying. Look at Biden. Look how he dresses. He knows policy. He's been a vice president. All Bernie talking about taking something from somebody. And then he can't tell you how he's going to pay for it.
You know, these are the same kind of policies they have in Europe for years, and Canada.
We in America now, sir.
No. You know what? The thing of it is, these policies that Bernie, these progressive policies that Bernie has, these are policies that have been successful in Scandinavia, Canada, and Europe. Other countries are doing this. So they've been doing
Actually, countries in Scandinavia have moved back from the single-payer approach.
You know, these policies work. We spend more money for people being sick and diagnosed in the final stages of diseases that you could have gone to the doctor, got some help, and nipped it in the bud with some medication or some healthy living.
Sir, all I want to ask you one question.
We end up going to the emergency. So what we're sitting on the emergency.
All I want to ask you is one question, sir. Is Bernie a Democrat or independent?
Well, he's running under the Democratic Party.
Yeah, he's running in the primary. He's running the primary as a Democrat in the Democratic primary, but he still lists himself as an independent.
Well, okay, yeah, he does. He has the right to do it. Here's the problem, and you know it. If he wanted to run as an independent, as a third party, the Democrats and the Republicans do everything they can to hurt people who run as a third party. So he doesn't have much of a choice to get out there. I think he could probably do very well running if he ran as an independent. But so many times he runs, and you know that. Look at the problem they gave the Green Party. And the Green Party.
Hold on.
The Democrats and the Republicans.
Hey, brother, that's why we got Donald Trump, because of Bernie Sanders with his selfish self.
No,
he didn't want to play ball with nobody.
No, that you know what? Okay, I understand this, you know, and people feel like this. But anyway, I would just like to have a real good. And thank you for allowing me to speak. But I think you can have a real debate out there how people feel about Bernie. You're going to find Bernie is well loved by a lot of people.
Okay.
There's no doubt that he has some popularity because and the polling anyway, that he seems to do well. He's had problems with women in his campaign, with a lot of the sexual innuendo and hostile work environment apparently that And his first response to it was, well, I was out campaigning and I didn't know that was going on. And then I guess he thought better of it and he started making, more conciliatory statements about it. But he really has, he started out as the anybody but Hillary, and he gathered all those votes back in 2016. And now there's many people that are, quote, as progressive as he is. So what makes him different? What makes him different? What he does? He rails against a lot of wealthy people, but he won't release his tax returns because he probably is in the 1% like the others, the 1% that he rails against. That's one of the problems, and that's why he doesn't want to release it.
Well, you know what? I'm not sure. I'm going to look into that myself. I think it's more to it than that. Because basically, these very charges, has not been proven to be really true. Even on the fact check, he's done reasonably well on the fact check. There's been some exaggeration. When we look at the fact check, he's done very well. He rates mostly true on the fact check, and he has not gotten the pants on fire according to the fact check. So even with that, with even their scrutiny and everything, yes, there's some problems or something he's not made clear enough, and he could use a better promotional people maybe working around him, but sometimes he could be a little stubborn, perhaps, But I think the heart of him is a really good person, and a lot of people see that. A lot of people, when you listen, and I watch his videos, on YouTube, and it's just amazing how well people like. He does very well in red states, and he goes on there and talk and explain those issues out there.
Wardell, he does not do well. His problem is he doesn't do well in cities like Detroit,
where
urban areas.
Black people ain't buying this message.
Yeah, which is a real problem for him.
And see, I'm not trying to be funny, man. Black people are not comfortable with the liberals because the liberals are always looking out for themselves. They play at our issues, but they want somebody to support their issues. Okay? And so Bernie, if you look at his whole life in the civil rights movement, where was he at?
He was involved in it.
No, he was not, sir. They showed a picture when he was in Chicago 1 or 2 times, and that was it.
I think Bernie was actually at the Martin Luther
Sir,
King
you need to do your homework. Go do your homework, sir.
Okay, well, I'm still in the process of doing it, okay?
Okay.
And thank you very much.
Thanks, Wardell. Thanks for calling in.
I really appreciate you letting me have a chance to speak, because oftentimes you don't get much time to speak. So thank you very much for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Wardell. You have a great Sunday.
On the civil rights angle, there's something that came up recently where there's this woman who is fired from her job because somebody somehow got a hold of a picture that she had sent privately to a boyfriend 10 years ago of herself topless. And instead of dealing it from a privacy invasion thing that, effectively she got fired for something that shouldn't have ever been public, she's taken an interesting angle, which is that if a man's photo showing his chest had been released, this would not have happened to him. And ever since I was a child, I always thought that there was something discriminatory about laws that allowed allowed men to bare their chests, but not women. And I'm actually kind of glad that she's kind of bringing this forward and suing them based on sexual discrimination, because it's a blatant violation of Section 1 of the 14th Amendment.
If you compare strictly a man's chest to a woman's chest, and there's always been a cultural, attachment that a woman's breasts aren't supposed to be shown literally in public. I mean, that's been cultural.
Well, there's a lot of discriminatory things that have been cultural over the years, but that doesn't necessarily make them right.
Yeah, I think, I realize the point that she's arguing. And she's it should have been a privacy standpoint that she should have actually have attacked it from. There are certain characteristics of the male's body that culturally they've always said, okay, if they're shirtless, it's never been an issue, versus a woman, if she, has no a shirt on, is completely naked on the top up, culturally there's always been a concern about that.
So what about like a flat-chested woman or a man with moobs? I mean, is it a matter of size? Or like I was reading at a erotic poetry festival, and one of the poets was
you're reading some. Okay, go ahead.
Transgendered person.
Yeah.
Who actually more or less did a stand-up comedy routine over the whole matter of how, because, transgendered people, I guess, are more interested in their identity of themselves apart from their genitalia. And this person was commenting that since he or she hadn't been snipped, that I guess she could get away with baring her breasts to the public because saying, hey, but I'm still a guy down there, and if that's
but
what
some
you
of the
want,
rules keep changing around.
Bernie. I'm just trying to figure out.
What?
Go ahead.
That was a quick one.
Well, because you were talking about discrimination, and so
I was talking about Bernie. I was talking about that was smooth.
Scotty,
that was good with that, Scotty.
But I mean, seriously, how does one handle that? And I was actually when I was at the Citizens Academy on police. Or the police academy, the police department's having a citizens academy, and they had a speaker on transgendered issues. And one thing that came up was, for instance, like restrooms are, it's still a misdemeanor if one goes into a restroom that does not meet with one's cisgender identity. That
well, you're seeing a lot of businesses now are making restrooms available unisex in terms of being able to go in there and things like that. The problem that you run into is that if someone feels, if a male feels that, let's say he's in high school and he feels that he wants to identify himself as being female, do you let him in the woman's locker room in high school?
And under the law, apparently they're saying that under local law, it's a misdemeanor if they do that. On the other hand, there's been federal lawsuits where I think it's been upheld that a person should be able to get a restroom that matches their own identity.
Yeah, but the problem you have with that is that what do you do with minors? If a minor in high school determines that they've got male organs, but at the same time they feel female, would you be comfortable with them going into the female locker room for gym class? That's some of the issues that you face.
There is definitely an issue with those group showers going back in my memory and standing there and even being self-conscious as a male among males. That is an interesting question.
Well, yeah. Sometimes they handle that in with stalls and things like that. There's all different ways that they handle it.
Obama said yes, he's worried about rigidity of progressiveness. I'm going to segue back into this. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Hey, Bob, listen what Obama said. He's worried about rigidity. You got a lot of these liberals, man. If you ain't one way, they don't want to talk with you.
Yeah.
They think they know everything, man.
Yeah.
Even
Pelosi's a warning. I just saw.
Yes, you just saw that.
Yeah,
right.
Well, Pelosi's warning that if you lurch too far, too quickly to the left, you're going to have the same problems that the Republicans had lurching to the right, which is, really created a lot of the issues in Congress and things like that.
The adults got to stand up now, Bob. I get Rashida and all their stuff. They firebrands and all this other stuff. You don't win elections on being a firebrand. We have to think the strategy. We have to think this thing out. How do we attract those folks who left Obama? How do we get those folks back if we gonna win?
Well, they got to push out the urban vote, and that's one of the things that's become the key why there's so many attractions towards what is it, South Carolina? Their primary is like number 2 or 3,
right?
And there's a large African American vote that's going to come out of that. And African American women seem to have a disproportionate amount of impact because they're active on the Democratic primary.
Bob, I don't know what I am. Okay, I know I'm black. I know that I got educated. I think I got, I'm more of a centrist kind of guy. You got to have business. I'm a businessman. They got to find in the Democratic Party room for somebody like me.
Yeah, if they're saying that you don't count, then
yeah, that's what they said. We don't count. If you're not smoking weed, okay, if you're not in the weed movement, if you're not, if you're not talking about universal health care, We need to find a way where people can buy into Medicaid and Medicare. But people should have their options, Bob.
Yeah, well, Medicare for all. The issue you have, does that mean like if I have a contract with Chrysler with the UAW and things like that, do I have to give that up? That kind of thing.
But who gives her the right to fight to try to get incumbents Olsted? She needs to worry about her seat.
You're talking about Cortez.
Yeah, she
from
needs
New
to worry
York.
about her seat.
Yeah. Okay, that's yeah. There's a lot of issues with it. We've been talking about Bernie Sanders. We got a number of people that are starting to call us here on obviously with it.
Oh,
Scotty, go ahead.
Speaking of how you brought up the whole thing with the weed coming in as a political topic, I just had to mention, yesterday we had this case where people watching the game between the Raiders and the Red Raiders and the Spartans, a lot of them been chanting "Go Green," and now they're seeing red. But meanwhile, over at U of M, who got booted out of the basketball championship, but meanwhile over at U of M, those who've been chanting "Go Green" are finally getting their way.
Oh, the hash mash.
Yeah, I saw that Congresswoman Debbie Dingell was there. First time she's ever attended it.
Man, if you just walking by, you're gonna get high.
Huh?
We've had libertarian speakers, libertarians attending it for years, and I haven't even been to one since I got more in my community issues, and my neighborhood organization always meets on the first Saturday of April.
Okay.
But
All right, we got callers.
I look at these talking heads, man. Okay, what made them experts?
Because they got to fill the time. They got to fill the time.
You
got so many cable stations that they got to fill the time. Okay, we got several callers here. Rick, you're on with the panel here.
Hey, good morning. I was listening to Keith. He said something, and it's true. I would just raise this again. If we're going to get people involved, we want to get those Obama voters and other people involved. The one thing that we see working across the country, proof of acknowledgement. When we see people come to these conventions and meetings, they're bringing their groups of individuals. Those individuals feel as though their first-party claims are being accepted and acknowledged by somebody. They're supporting these people. If we take that same process, scale it up, and apply it, we will be able to get a lot more people out. Make3.com. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Rick. We appreciate it.
I want to know what first-party claims is.
Go to the blog.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
All
right. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for calling in. Have a good Sunday. Who's up next here? LaShonda? Hello.
Good morning. You
Good
got
morning.
it correctly. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I wanted to first ask, do you frequent the Arab American newspaper, and have you seen the latest issue?
Not the latest one. No, I've run across it several times. What's in it?
Oh, okay. With Rashida Tlaib, she's kind of on the front page, but along with a whole lot of other people. What they had recently was the national, state, and local officials hosted the Arab American News for its impact at their 35th anniversary banquet. And looking at the pictures, it was very pleasing for me to see Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy in this paper. And U.S. Senator Gary Peters, Debbie Dingell. So this is a very recent event. It looks like it was very well attended. I wanted to ask, because we're having a smaller meeting on the 15th of this month, and Ms. Tlaib is one of the speakers. Mr. Williams, first, if there.
I'm sorry. Who's having the meeting, LaShonda?
The WMBA, which stands for the West McNichols Business Association.
Okay.
Yeah, we have invited Tlaib as well as some other guests, Mr. Nettles. I don't have the information in front of me, but it's regarding fair housing. That's the topic. I have mixed emotions, but I'm just a part of the committee. And as it relates to Congresswoman Tlaib, I'm very interested in hearing her viewpoint as it relates to her district. And again, it's something that if anybody was interested, they can just go to WMBA on Eventbrite, and
you know, ma'am,
it's free to the.
Do you think we're? Go ahead.
You know, I really believe you're doing the right thing. Ask her. She needs. We hear. You know, we heard about Donald Trump and all that other stuff. We need to get specific with these politicians. What are you doing for our communities? And you know, and they should give somehow we should have a SWOT analysis of the district and see how she's going to adhere to the information that you have. Strength, weakness, opportunity presents. And so you got to ask Rashida, you know, Rashida, what are you doing to improve our community? You know what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to come to that meeting and just sit back and be an observant because because I'm in politics. I understand, you know, these folks they'll come and give you this rhetoric, but when where's the substance?
That's
what is she able to get?
Well.
It comes down to getting something that's going to be able to be passed too. I know that they're asking for federal oversight in the demolition programs in Detroit.
Now, that's
her and Brenda Lawrence are asking for that. I saw that in the paper. So what exactly does that mean? Are they going to actually step in and do the review of what's going on, or is it a press release saying, look at what we're asking for, and then the federal government doesn't respond at all into what they're saying? I mean, how do you force that issue to actually come about? People are concerned about the demolition and the impact, and are they using clean soil and everything else, for the fill-in and things like that. So who's actually in the federal government going to come in and do the oversight?
And it seems to me the only constitutional grounds for such a thing would be if they see a violation of equal protection.
No, well, environmentally they can come in if they're using
using bad soil.
If they're using bad soil, Department of Environment can come in.
If it's discriminatory on who's getting the bad soil.
You know, but see, this is my only thing, Bob. They're good at press conferences. They're good at writing press releases. And then they got the press release out. Well, I was fighting for you this. I was fighting this, man. Nothing ever gets done. Still abandoned houses, no economic development. So I'm just a little tired of the rhetoric. Tell me what you're going to do.
How's it going to get done? How's it going to get done?
Yeah. Well, just to add, we during the same month, and it is really not just a simple process in getting our state reps to our congresswomen. We've got the three locked down in 1 month. Now, that's a feat for some. For some, it's a walk in the park. But my whole premise is that it's not just this is going to be your typical sit down, answer some simple questions, walk out the door feeling good. The WNBA, we're just, we're new, but we've been around 35 years. And I really appreciate, your input, because I will take your input and infuse that into the meeting when it comes down to Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, who will be with us on the 15th of this month.
Yes, you should ask, since you've been there, Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, what have you done?
With the 400-year anniversary of, that's the topic, what monies have been appropriated, what and who has received funding, Congresswoman, because this 400-year anniversary has been on the table and has been activated on for the past 2 years. And the people here in Detroit still are clueless that these funds are available for
Hold on, ma'am. Is it around Persian High School? Your organization is in the vicinity of Persian High School?
No.
Well, you should ask Brenda Lawrence.
Sorry, Mr. Williams, you said it's our organization?
In the vicinity of Persian High School.
No, we're on West McNichols between Southfield and Grand River.
Oh, okay. I know you're at. You're over my. Just ask Brenda Lawrence this question. You're a graduate of Persian High School. Ask her when is the last time she's been over to Persian High School and saw the conditions.
Okay. Although I have not been to Persian, but I certainly will ask that question.
That is a major question because I've been in there, and I'm not faulting Dr. Dody. He's trying to get it. His hands are tied. You go over there, ma'am, only 2 floors are operating, mold on the walls, floors are warped, and our kids go there every day with that environment. And you go down to Ryan Prison, they got better accommodations than the kids got at Pershing. So that's shame on us. And I want to know, what is she doing as a congresswoman to bring some a light to that situation, and what is she going to do to try to get it fixed?
Well, if you go to WMBA on Eventbrite, we can certainly register you, no cost to anyone. It just allows us the opportunity to know where folks can be seated and the attendance. That's Eventbrite, WMBA. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, LaShonda. We appreciate it. Nathan, you're on with Bob Ficano, Keith Williams, and Scotty Boman.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Speaking of our community, the Black Democratic Caucus decided we didn't need no representation for over a year, and we haven't got.
What are you talking about, sir?
Are you talking about Conyers' seat?
What are you talking about?
Busy apologizing for everything. We ain't got no apology for not having no representation.
What are you talking about, sir?
Are you talking about John Conyers'
I'm talking about the 13th congressional district didn't have no representation.
We stood up for John Conyers and representation. See, this is the problem.
I'm talking about we went over a year without any.
I know, but the governor sets the election.
Right.
And the governor at that time was Snyder.
Kenlock asked him not to sit it.
Who?
Jonathan Kenlock. He asked them not to schedule no election. So they get their thing together for
But sir, that was then and this is now. How do we keep black representation? How do we have a pro?
You talking about Brenda Lawrence when the last time she been over to the school? That was then. This is now.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the conditions that are now. And our kids are going in those conditions.
Okay, I guess we lost.
Was he referring to the fact that we had Gary Peters in for a bit before he moved up to Senate?
Well, no. Gary, it's going to be interesting. You'll start seeing a lot of Gary Peters now because he's up
Gary's got some issues because Debbie just won by 6 percentage points.
Debbie
Stabenow against John James.
Yeah.
Black folks, Bob, you know the poll we did? We did a statewide poll. And then after the election, 43% African-Americans voted for John James. 43% African-Americans voted for Tom Leonard. And 33% African-Americans voted for Bill Schuette.
Those are big numbers, really.
Those are big numbers, Bob. And Gary should be scared because, Bob, you just can't keep coming in our neighborhoods and don't bring no ends, as the brothers in the hood say, don't bring no ends to the neighborhood.
Okay. All right, you're listening to 910 AM The Superstation. We'll be right back after these short messages. You can reach us at 313-778-7600.
This is Reverend Sharpton, and on the last Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton.
Oh, I just don't count the votes. They're not there with the vote. They just get
I just answered you before, sir, that I know thousands of people that are in the rooms when the votes come in. Every candidate has people in the room. When I've run, I have people in the room. Everybody running is going to have people in the room when the count comes in. The question is making sure we get the right count. The count does not come from them counting ballots. The count comes through technology. This is not 1890. We're not having people at the courthouse standing in line or the schoolhouse and you see the ballot. The question is making sure you have the right voting companies, that they're not hacked or not in any way eliminated. You could have everybody in the world in the room. They will be in the room getting the wrong numbers. So keep it real daily with me, Al Sharpton.
So you've decided to go to college. That's cool. So pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. In the park on a bench, on the beach on a towel, or on your couch with your kid, your campus is wherever you want it to be. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's independence. That's Independence University. You schedule classes around your schedule, and all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. At Independence U, you'll learn from professional instructors with real work experience. You'll get personal support in school and employment assistance when you graduate. Get your degree, but keep your life. That's Independence. That's Independence University. So if you're really smart, you'd call now.
Call 1-800-556-7791.
Independence U, for an independent you.
Call 1-800-556-7791.
Are you getting the most out of your Medicare plan? Are you sure? Many people with Medicare are eligible for plans that include extra benefits in addition to those found in original Medicare. Benefits like dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage. Call now to see if you're eligible to enroll. The consultation is free with no obligation to enroll. In addition to hospital and medical coverage, at no extra cost, you could also get coverage for prescription drugs, dental, hearing, vision, and more. In many areas, plans with benefits are available with $0 copays for many services, $0 monthly premiums, or $0 deductibles. That's hospital, medical, prescription drug, dental coverage, and more included in one plan with premiums that may be as low as $0 a month. Call now to see if you're eligible to enroll. The consultation is free and there's no obligation to enroll.
Call 1-800-571-8580. That's 1-800-571-8580.
Stay up to date with current events and breaking news on our Facebook page. Search and like 910 AM Superstation on Facebook, and you'll see everything new, everything exciting, and all things Detroit. 910 AM Superstation News on Facebook Live right now. The 910 AM live stream can now be seen on Apple TV, Roku, Chromecast, YouTube Red, iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, Amazon Kindle Fire, any Windows phone, or watch us live at 910amsuperstation.com.
910 AM Superstation wants to give you a night out of town by giving you tickets to see Tyler Perry in Medea's Farewell Tour live at the Fox Theater April 18th to the 21st, Monday through Friday between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. for a chance to win a pair of tickets to Medea's Farewell Live at Fox Theater April 18th to the 21st.
Listen up, America. Are you or a loved one suffering with an addiction to alcohol, opiates, prescription painkillers, or other drugs? There is hope. Medication-assisted treatment is proven most effective for opiate addiction recovery. Utilizing medications such as methadone, Suboxone, and Subutex, combined with inpatient treatment, you can achieve lasting recovery. Most insurance is accepted, so call us now.
Please call 800-625-5860.
So you've decided to go to college. That's cool. So pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's Independence. That's Independence University. And all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. Independence U, for an independent you.
Call 1-800-556-7791.
Do you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS? If so, you may qualify for the IRS's Fresh Start program. The Fresh Start program is one of the biggest tax breaks the IRS has offered. Call Tax Group Center at 800-685-6150 to see if you qualify for the IRS's Fresh Start program. Their team of tax experts and attorneys will get you the best tax settlement possible. Call 800-685-6150 now to learn if you qualify for the IRS's Fresh Start program. Call Tax Group Center at 800-685-6150. 800-685-6150.
I heard on the news about that 5-year-old who found his uncle's gun. The kid didn't know it was loaded.
I heard on the news about that 14-year-old girl who was bullied online for like a year. She couldn't take it anymore, so she got her dad's gun from his nightstand.
I heard on the news about that guy who broke into someone's house, stole a gun from the hall closet.
He accidentally shot his cousin in the head.
She killed herself.
And later, killed the owner of the store he was trying to rob.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
We're the hottest station in town. Whatever you need, it's right here on 910 AM Superstation. The most powerful voices in the urban community.
3, 2, 1.
You're listening to 910 AM Superstation. You're listening to 910 AM Superstation.
The best in the city.
WFDF Farmington Hills, Detroit. 910 AM Superstation, a division of Adele Media.
And good morning. You're listening to 910 AM, the Superstation. My name's Robert Ficano. You can join us at 313-778-7600. I'm on this morning with Keith Williams, who is chair of the Black Caucus for the Michigan Democratic Party. That's right. And Scotty Boman, who is our residential libertarian, but also professor at Wayne County Community College, as well as at Macomb Community College. So
I bet you Scotty got an interesting class.
Yeah, from some of the questions this morning, he might have, yes.
The thing is, because it's mainly science, there isn't that much of a time that politics and things like that come in. And specifically, I've had students ask me, like, what is your political, like, what do you think of Trump? And I'm like, my views are not a secret, so you can just look them up online, but I'm not using class time on that.
I use class time for it all the time. In the criminal justice and the political science, we talk about Trump and everybody else. In fact, I start every class off, what have you read in the news today? It is amazing how many of them do not read the news. That is the scary part in the way that it's set up. Okay, Ken, you're on with the panel here.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Couple of points. But the first one, Scotty, I know you're a libertarian, and I'm surprised that you're not more involved with the dialogue here about the health care, about the schools. As a matter of fact, Keith, you were talking about the schools earlier. The one school in particular had the mold on the wall. And I think I've had this dialogue with you guys before. These are all government-run institutions, and I've complained that there's over 500 school districts in the state. You know what I mean? And all that money is being wasted on the duplication of services when the federal and state government mandate these issues, these curriculums, and you wonder why there's inequalities when it comes to certain districts. They should be whittled down. Each student should get a certain amount of money. The money should be distributed to each district that's predetermined. So in other words, if you want 5 districts, north, south, east, west, and central, and branches from there that control the smaller areas, but under one guide. I mean, I don't understand.
Distributed by whom?
What do you mean distributed?
Well, you brought up me being a libertarian, so coming from that position now, I am going to go there. Libertarians don't believe the government should be doing the schools. And actually, even if I were just a constitutionalist, we wouldn't believe the federal government has any jurisdiction on that because it is not among the enumerated powers in Article 1, Section 8, or in anywhere else really in the Constitution. So, first of all, as a constitutional person, if I were only that much of a libertarian, I would say that there's no federal jurisdiction. As a philosophical and moral libertarian, I would say that having the coercive element of the state involved at all in education isn't appropriate from a moral perspective, regardless of whatever pragmatic arguments there might be to the contrary.
Ken, are you more engaging in saying that there should be more privatization versus the government running it?
No, Robert. What I'm trying to say is that if we're going to allow the government to be involved in education, then I want it managed right. I don't want any more of these games being played. I don't want 500 and some districts, but then there's over this hand that controls it all. If we're going to do it, and government's involved, and government is always supposed to be unbiased. There should be no picking and choosing. There should be no, well, I'm going to help this group at the expense of another. That's not how this should be set up. It's minimalist intervention. And if the government's going to do this and mandate it, then let's do it the right way. Let's get down to 5 districts. In those districts, we can run it like a corporation. GE, these companies all did this. They ran divisions. I'm not saying that.
I don't know if I'd use GE as an example right now because they're struggling.
And that's not minimal intervention. That's centralization of power.
GE was mismanaged. But the thing is, we have to run it like it is a business if the government's going to be involved in that. And that's where the money's going. Billions of dollars are being wasted on duplications of services. And if you want to help the schools, like he's complaining, well, one school's got mold in it. Well, if we're paying for this, what the hell's going on here?
The bottom line is there's no correct, there's no wrong and no wrong way or right way. Businesses don't run right. Okay, so that ain't the answer. And government don't run right at times. So how do we take collective first claims, as my guy said, calls it, first party claims? No, what I'm trying to say is,
wait a minute.
When can we get some folks that really care about growing the economy, making sure our kids get educated, and making sure peace and tranquility throughout this world, instead of throwing taking shots at government and taking shots at business? How do we bring some moderate approach to this, where we can move agenda forward?
Keith, we have to take shots at it. If they're not doing, look, if you have a business or whatever, and somebody's embezzling your company or mismanaging your company, what are you going to do?
You got to get rid of it.
You're going to fire
them. You're my friend. I love you. You're great. No, you're going to, we have to, that's our job. It's our responsibility, is to go and say, hey, you're not doing this right. This is dumb. Why are you doing this? Why is this all split up? Who's getting the money? If it's not going to these schools, like you said, Keith, there's a problem.
Well, if you're saying it's running it like a business, well, I think the thing that would make that where there is a difference between government and business is with a business. If a business is doing it wrong, and plenty of them do, businesses fail all the time, that the consumer has the option of going someplace else and then letting that business fail and going, and the business that succeeds ends up at least at over some region of time being the one that people choose to go to because it's doing a better job. Hopefully that's the reason. That would seem to then go against, though, the idea of mandating a smaller number of districts and effectively creating an artificial monopoly at a broader sense. Because as far as the many districts, we're really talking about dispersion of power versus centralization of power. And what I would say is if the government's going to be in control, I'd rather have things managed locally than over a very large region, because an individual vote counts a lot more in a smaller area than it does if you have a larger body of voters.
You're right, Scotty, but the thing is that if government, if they're going to tell us that we have to do this, I'm all with you about privatizing. I'm a libertarian. I'd rather have it privatized. Do your own thing. But if we're going to do this,
Ken, that's kind of odd. I finally got to watch the movie Vice. And in there, they talk about how Halliburton actually, how they ran things during some of the vice president during Cheney's time. And obviously, he had come over from being the CEO there, and they privatized a lot of the materials and things like that had to be shipped to Middle East. And, it was a lot of overbilling and a lot of corruption that was involved in it. That was part of it, and that was all privatized.
That's cronyism.
That was all
That's
privatized.
cronyism. Yeah, that's cronyism. See, we don't need that cronyism. If we're going to do this, we can all be voting on it. We can set it up in a way to where there's an overseeing body, if that's what the people want. If they need government to be involved, then let's have an overseeing body and districts that are set up in the state, not these duplications of services, and each student gets money, whether you're in Bloomfield or you're in Detroit or whatever, and the money that comes in through the property tax, which I don't agree with either, it should be on a state sales tax, and each kid with a a Social Security number should get a voucher from the state through the sales tax. And actually, the system should be privatized, so private companies come in and do whatever they want. If you want a gang shower for the kids.
Now, Ken, here's your problem with that, and especially trying to privatize in education. It's what they're going to do is they're going to do what they call creaming. They're going to take the students that are motivated, whose parents are supporting them, and everything else, and they're going to try to take them and put them in their school because they're going to have the greatest success with it. So the ones that are more challenging, the ones that they're having difficulty with, and things like that, they aren't going to be picked up, or they go into the public school system, and at that point. It's much more difficult for the public school system to try to, just deal with those youngsters. They do the same thing in private prisons. If I'm running a private prison, I want the prisoners that have the shortest sentence, that are there for misdemeanors, that are going to be the least trouble, versus someone that's a 20-year felon that I know I'm going to have probably going to have problems with over the long term.
If you have competing,
but Robert, that's the thing. That's the thing. We don't look anywhere else. If we did privatize the system, there'd be companies that would have schools set up. There'd be a Muslim school, a Christian school, or a more sports-oriented school, and it would be an a la carte thing. So everybody would get the basic amount of money from the state, and then from there, you take it to the place you want. You want to pay up to a better school, you pay if you have the means to do it. And the smaller communities, before anyone says anything, the kids that are more from the more poor areas, that's where the communities get involved. And we start to do fundraisers. We do it here in our business to help people that are in need, because they can't get the help from wherever else. And some of them just said, you just don't want it, but we help them. So that's where the community gets involved. That's where the love and compassion comes from. Not from when the government comes in and says, you have to do it with a boot on your neck and a gun pointed at your head. That's forced compliance. And it takes all the compassion away. It takes the love away. It takes the need and want to do things for each and every one of our communities. We used to have a community togetherness. Now it's not like that anymore.
Well, oddly, Ken, you should bring that up because Keith was talking about a whole new education program that he ran across concerning Loyola High School, I believe it is.
Yeah, Loyola High School.
Why don't you explain that to it? Ken, thanks for calling in. We're going to let Keith expand on this. Go ahead.
Loyola High School is a school on Pinehurst and Finkel. It's been around for like 20 or 30 years, and Wyatt Jones is the principal there. His father was a great man who was in the school at the time. And what they're doing, Bob, they're creating character kids, and I just wondered, and I was talking to Bob and Scotty about, the Catholic Church has had schools throughout this history, and then you had, I remember Father Flanagan and the Boys Town and all that other stuff. The question is, I asked to Bob is this: I'll go there every month for prayer or devotional prayer, Bob. The bell rings. This is how it goes. The bell rings, you play your music, then you give your scripture, and then you talk for about a few minutes about the scripture and how it relates to those kids' lives. But those kids they're quiet, they're listening to, they're being very attentive, and throughout the day, this kids is an all-boys school. So I said to myself, these are the same young men that come from that neighborhood, and their whole behavior changed when they get into that school. So why can't we do that in other communities? Then I went to the Boy Scout meeting, Bob, and I'm saying that all these organizations have got creeds. They're trying to change the composition of these kids' minds based on their perspective. But we got the black church. Why can't the black church duplicate the Catholic Church when it comes down to education?
In other words, that they would have set up a network just like what they've done. You're talking about high schools like Catholic Central, Divine Child,
right,
and others that have they've had a lot of success in terms of getting kids into college as well as athletic success and things like that. And in fact, one of the individuals you were telling me about actually started out with Loyola and now has
he's a part of the. This would Bob. See, Bob, this is this whole thing about me and I love my black community. Okay, but I don't want us to be so self-reliant on government that we miss the point about what made us great. We never was a part of government because they try to keep us out of government. And, you know, we had to have civil rights laws for public accommodations. We went through Reconstruction trying to get ourselves together. Then they create these laws to try to
stop you from participating, like voting rights and things like that.
So, Bob, this is what this young man told me. Came by, he said he graduated in Lyon in 2014. He's going to Wayne State, and I asked him what is he doing while he's going to Wayne State. He said he plays in a religious pro sports league,
which I had never heard of.
Yes, it's called Jesus. It's called Jesus Christ. I'll pull it up. And this 4 evangelical churches, 400 evangelical churches, pooled their resources and created 23 teams amongst all the sports. And then you can only have 23 players, okay? But Bob is giving those kids a chance that is not going to the pro draft on baseball, basketball, or football, but it's giving them a chance to pursue their athletic prowess. But more importantly, to be a part of the league, you got to go to church. You got to live in a community. What's wrong with that? Some said,
and plus they're paid, which is unusual.
They get paid $70,000. $70,000. Imagine you going to school, you're paying $70,000, and you're enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. And what you're challenging is, can the black church,
yes,
African American church, actually start to create the same thing?
Yes,
in terms of it, just like in this case, what they did at Loyola, but also what they're going to do in terms of what the Catholic schools have done as well.
Yes, look at the Boy Scouts, Bob. They got career exploring. The question is, we got all these nonprofits out here. What are we doing to duplicate? I said in my post Friday, duplication is not a bad thing when it's doing right.
Copy what they're doing.
Copy what they're doing.
Yeah.
It seems to be the biggest distinction is that when you say the black church, it's not one organization, but many organizations, whereas the Catholic Church is a single organization. So I think unity is probably a bit the one word
Scotty,
answer.
that is the issue, is unity. The Catholic Church is one of the richest churches in the world, okay?
They're the biggest landholders in the world.
In the world, okay? And we're buying their schools.
Yeah.
You know what I'm getting at? I'm just saying, if the black church could be a multi-billion-dollar organization if collectively we put our resources
if you put
together.
your resources in.
Yes.
And the spin-off into businesses.
Yes.
And what would happen
in
as well.
education, businesses, and create housing, and create a whole new community.
Okay. Al, hold on. We're going to get to your phone call right after the break. You're listening to 910 AM, the Superstation. My name's Robert Ficano. I'm here with Keith Williams and Scotty Boman.
910 AM Superstation wants to give you a night out of town by giving you tickets to see Tyler Perry in Medea's farewell tour live at the Fox Theater April 18th to the 21st, Monday through Friday between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. for a chance to win a pair of tickets to Medea's farewell live at Fox Theater April 18th to the 21st.
Attention! In July 2018, Bayer announced that it will be halting its sales of Assure. The Assure birth control may break or migrate after insertion, puncturing the fallopian tube, resulting in corrective surgery to remove the device. Thousands of women have reported debilitating health problems to the FDA. In April 2018, the FDA restricted sales of Assure to protect women and required that patients receive risk information.
Please call 800-425-9539.
The 910 AM app has been integrated with Alexa and is now live in the App Store. To use 910 AM on your Alexa device, you can say Alexa commands in two ways. If your Fire TV device has a microphone button, you can hold down the microphone button to say the commands. If you've linked your Echo or Echo Dot to your Fire TV, you can use the trigger word Alexa without pushing your microphone buttons to say commands. Start listening to 910 AM Superstation now from the comfort of your home.
Are you drowning in debt? Struggling just to make minimum payments? It's not your fault. Serious debt can happen to anyone, but there is hope. Our debt-free program has helped thousands of good people, just like you, eliminate their credit card debt. Call us today and we will dramatically reduce your credit card debt down to just a fraction of what you owe. The call is free. The consultation is free. Take control of your credit debt. take control of your life again. Call now to see how our debt-free program can work for you.
Call 800-872-5230.
Good morning. You're listening to 910 AM The Superstation. My name's Robert Ficano. I'm here with Keith Williams and Scotty Boman. Right before the break, Al, you called on. You're on 910 AM The Superstation.
Yeah, I'm still on. Hey, Bob, he make a good point, but, man, when you got doctrinal points, I don't think that's going to really happen because, people got different doctrinal points. But, the one thing about Loyola, my friend was one of the first graduates of Loyola. I went to St. Martin de Porres back in the day. I will say those schools were real good, but that libertarian, man, he talking about he don't want government. Like you said, Keith, like you said, Bob, they used to keep us out of government, but we was paying taxes and couldn't nothing get out of it. So when I listen to libertarians, I'm always side-eyed. I always tell everybody to take a look at a book called Democracy in Chains. They tell you the whole history of the Libertarian Party. It don't fade too well with people of color.
Hey, brother, let me, I know you went to DePorres. I went to college with young brothers from DePorres. All I'm saying is the black church is not monolithic, but if we collectively put our resources together, we can create a school system, we can create an economic system, and then we can create a moral system where we're living out the meaning of what Jesus Christ asked us to do. Love our neighbors as we love ourselves and love God with all our heart and soul. You know what I'm getting at? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Hey, Keith, could you give me a direction to your place again, man? Because I want to get by there and check it out.
12925 Auburn Street. I'm off of Schoolcraft.
Okay. All right, I'm on it. I'm going to check you out. You going to be there next Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to be over there.
Okay,
yeah,
great. Okay, thanks. Thanks for calling in, Al. We appreciate it. Okay, Scotty, I know you've been zooming around the community with some of the activity and things like that. There was a recent lawsuit that was filed, I know, with the Detroit Police Commission. Can you bring us up to date what's going on with that?
The legendary Robert Davis has brought a number of interesting lawsuits up in the city of Detroit.
And has served some interesting time.
Yeah. He most recently served 4 of the commissioners on the Board of Police Commissioners with summonses regarding a lawsuit he's filing. And what he's doing is he's suing the city for these secret meetings that apparently, according to what he says, and I've heard things like this from commissioners over the years, that there have been these secret meetings happening on Wednesday nights before the Thursday board meeting that some of the commissioners have been going to and meeting with apparently high-ranking members of the Detroit Police Department and having these meetings totally off the record and in violation of the Open Meetings Act, or at least apparently.
How many people are on the police commission? 8 or 9?
That's a good question because it seems like some of them have dropped off. There's supposed to be 11 of them.
11, okay.
There's supposed to be 11.
So if
you got
4 of
7
them
elected and 4 appointed,
but if 4 of them are meeting, then would that violate the Open Meetings Act because you can't have a majority of them meeting, because then it would be a public meeting. So if the police officials are meeting with, say, 4 of them, and it's an 11-member board, you need 6 to take an action. Meeting with them separately, I don't know if that violates the Open Meetings Act.
Well, what I do know is, having heard, and this does involve more than 4 people as far as what I'm going to say now, but I have noticed that when motions were made to open things up for transparency, in fact, Willie Burton, who's often on here, had made motions at the board meetings to open up the meetings and not have secret meetings, that the rest of the board voted him down on this. And so, and that it was a majority.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I know sometimes politically to be in compliance with the Open Meetings Act, and Keith, I don't know if they, on the commission, they would do it as well sometimes, is you would have like 2 or 3 commissioners, they would meet with someone, and it wouldn't be a majority, of the board that could vote on it, and therefore that was not in violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Right.
I think you have to have the majority that can actually cast a vote. Right?
Yeah, right.
So if you got a 7-member board, if 3 people are meeting, then that isn't considered a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't realize that loophole was in the act, but that's an important matter that I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
Because I guess on a broader issue, regardless of how his suit does, is how do the people feel, the residents of Detroit, about the commissioners who are supposed to be doing oversight of the Detroit Police Department having a substantial number of their members having these secret meetings. And I see a lot of times I'll see these votes happen at the meetings where there's very little discussion publicly about the matter they're voting on, given the depth and the sophistication of the issue, where it'll just kind of pop out there. And some of the commissioners will just kind of vote either with or against.
In theory, committees are supposed to study the details of whatever proposal or policies in front of them. That's why a lot of times in front of the general body, it moves much quicker than it did in the committee. As I said, Keith has much more experience with this. But usually the committees, don't they usually vet it out a lot more before it gets to the general body?
Yeah. And what if a committee is involved in the secret meeting and you have the whole committee or majority of the committee meeting, then wouldn't that have the same effect if everyone's taking
if it's a committee, then the majority could not meet with like if you have an offshoot and you got a committee and let's say 5 people are on the committee, 3 of them couldn't meet, in private.
As long as you meet the question of the Open Meetings Act, Bob.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The Open Meetings Act is that all of us can't be at a function, but you can have like 2 or 3. We can meet and talk stuff, okay? But we cannot have a quorum. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what I've been hearing here. I'm just wondering, it seems like that's another matter where it could almost have the same effect as a meeting of a quorum if everyone's going with the committee recommendations and the committee's involved in the secret meeting.
Hey, did y'all see yesterday? It was in yesterday's article, Who's Writing Your Laws? It was an article in Detroit News yesterday, and it said that the average elected official is not writing your laws. It's advocacy groups, lobbyists, and all that other stuff. They said elected officials, they get handed legislation, and
then they just run with it.
Just run with it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, next up, we have one you're on with the panel. One?
Hey, gentlemen, how y'all doing this morning?
Good. How about you?
Good. Yeah, I'm beautiful. Thank you. I just wanted to piggyback on something that Brother Keith said in regards to the churches and religious institutions. That's exactly how I feel in regards to the schooling and being more involved in the community. Because I just look at it for a minute. I was kind of bashing them, but I looked at the situation. The way they're structured, they have all the answers. They get the parents in there. They have the proper government organizations. They have the contractors building. Well, not all of them, but a nice, a nice amount of them. But they just have all roads lead to success, if you ask me. If you can kind of I can't say set the religion aside, but they definitely have the blueprint,
Hey, brother, can I say something to you?
That we have to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can I say something to you? I put on my Facebook post. We got everybody else raising our children but us.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
the gang life,
you're right,
the
bro.
prison life, Boy Scouts, everybody else in the Catholic Church are educating our children. And so my question is, when is the black community going to say enough is enough and stop the pipeline to prison, give kids economic opportunities, and, so they can have a future?
Brother. We're going to start because I like that conversation. That's my whole thing. If you really look at the churches, the black churches, man, they're so set up for success in our community. We have to take advantage of them, though. We got to kind of let certain things to the side and look at these structures. That's what I was saying on another show. Like, I look at, for instance, the Fords and all these so-called elites. You don't really hear them talking about politics as much. They focus on the business aspect because they know all of that go hand in hand.
Hey, brother, let me say this to you.
I think we got to understand that.
Let me say this to you.
I ain't no Jehovah's Witness. I'm not no. But have you ever looked at the structure?
Yes. But,
you know what I'm saying? Have you ever looked at the blueprint? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Brother, let me just share this with you. I was with a doctor, an Indian doctor. He came over here from India. He had to go through Great Britain to get his green card to come over here and practice medicine in the United States. Okay.
Yeah.
I asked him, how did he get in this certain field? He said he first wanted to be a pediatrician, but they said you can get your green card fast if you go in this arena, okay? But this is the point, Bob.
Yes.
All of his kids are medical doctors. Okay, so this group, the Indians there, they enter engineering and medical doctors, okay? So he came up with this idea. Yeah. Do you know down in Wayne State, 1%, there's only 1% African Americans in the pharmacy arena? So Bob, Bob, this guy came with the idea, said let's buy up the pharmacies. When kids leave, they can get ownership into a pharmacy. Okay, Bob, so all I'm saying here is this, and this is what brought this to my attention. Christopher Ehlers got up at the Boy Scouts and said this: we're in the entertainment business, we're in the food business, and we're into sports business. Okay? Think about this, brother. We had the Negro League back in the day, okay? Yeah. We had stuff. We had Motown. We had all of that stuff. And now somebody else duplicated what we done, and guess what? We on the back. We're bench warmers now. We're not participating.
We had a whole music industry.
Yeah, but wasn't some of that set up where, like, the Negro League existed because they wouldn't let them into the major leagues?
Yes, they wouldn't let them into the major leagues. Okay.
I'm looking at the aspect that they have. The churches also have building skills. They build fabulous structures.
Yes.
Connections with the contractors. $30 million projects. We need this information, this knowledge.
Yes, brother, all we have to do, we got the power in our hands.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
But like you said, the structure's there, Bob, like the Catholic Church. School, religion, it works. It does work.
Okay. Thanks, Juan. Thanks for calling in. Gary, you're on with the panel.
Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Hey, I'd like to mention two things that I completely agree with you guys about. First of all, Bernie Sanders is a joke. He should be gone, and we shouldn't be even talking about him as anything.
Okay.
And secondly, I really appreciate the idea that the black community could step up and own its own future and establish organizations and churches, and well, you have churches, but schools to educate and to help the young people get back on their feet, because it's been a travesty what's happened to the black community, and they really need to step it up.
I agree with you, sir.
Gary, why don't you like Sanders? What do you think?
Like the guy said earlier about an hour ago, what's he done? He gets up there, he talks, he's worthless.
Huh. Okay.
I agree with you.
He's never done anything. I mean, and all his programs, all his socialist programs don't work. The one guy, I think Wendell from an hour ago, was on about Europe and how fantastic it is. That's not true.
Europe's struggling right now, actually.
Yeah, with Brexit. Yeah,
Brexit, and also though a lot of the policies that they're trying to hold it together, and they're struggling to do that as the European Union.
Right, and I don't think they're going to, because no organization that large ever stuck together. You know, there's just too many variables, and too many different people want different things. So it won't stick together long. Okay. You're like any empire. All empires collapse.
Yeah. All right, Gary. Well, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. Have a great Sunday. Ray, you're on with the panel. Ray?
Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, you made a good point there about that news article yesterday, the other day. That's why a lot of people are not really enthused to vote, because we know that special interests will control the politicians. Yeah, before they get there, everything is all hunky-dory, but once they get there, the money's coming in so fast, the overwhelming support of their candidacy is coming so fast, they have to pivot to the special interest groups. But my question here is, with Trump in office now, I think the blacks are probably have more power than ever. Because as you say, with those Republicans, John James and the guys, the blacks are really looking and questioning the Democratic Party in terms of the power that we have. Now, if we can come up with set up a realistic agenda yes, you can get it through. Now, the question I have also for Keith.
I disagree with you there. I think under Trump, I think that the African American community is being shunned to the side.
Well,
tell me what he's done for the African American community. I haven't seen anything.
Just talk about stuff.
Let me explain what I'm saying. I'm saying that neither one of them has done anything.
You're right. That's true.
The blacks got the power to sway the whole election right now, whether it's Congress or the executive office. That's what I'm not saying he's done anything. It has to do with that. It has something to do with the power that we have right now because they need the black vote.
Brother,
in other words, the Democratic Party can't take the black vote for granted.
Brother, let me share this with you. There's 1.4 million blacks in the state of Michigan. Only 500,000 are voting. So how do we get that number up? And the only way you get that number up, you got to show them that we are relevant. We got, they always want to talk about jobs to us, but they never talk about wealth with us, wealth creation, controlling our own destiny. I'm not mad at it. The Democratic Party does some wonderful things. They gave us Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, civil rights bills, but can that extend to economic rights, freedom for our education, and all that stuff?
Can I take my position, please?
Yes.
My position is that everybody talks about how much money this person raised. Everybody talks about how much money this person raised. Okay. At the end of the day, it's about who can raise the most money from those special interest groups to have.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Now that's the whole thing with the voter disenfranchised. People understand that my vote don't count because once they get there, special interests take over. Like I say, the lobbyists take over. My understanding, I was told from a prominent lobby, a national lobby, saying that, hey, we write the laws. We say,
there's no doubt about that.
But one thing with Keith, right? Look at it. I have one last point, Keith. You, the leader of the Black Caucus, correct, Michigan?
Yes.
Yes.
What do you think about a federal investigation to investigate this no-fault insurance, collusion, and corruption? Would you get behind something like that?
Yeah, brother, I told my membership, the doors of the church is always open. I'm not, if it's going to be right and relevant and we can win, I'm all for it. But I'm just not going to be on something just to get it out there and say in the paper and nothing happens. I don't want to be a part of that either.
Okay, do you agree there's collusion and corruption in auto insurance in the state? Do you agree with that?
I agree that
it needs to be reformed.
Yeah, it should be reformed.
Not from the state, though. It won't be reformed because that's where the collusion is at, from the state. Because
the federal government, how you going to get it through the federal government? I know that proposal brought up. How do you get it through the federal government?
That's what you got. That's why you
Hold
have.
on, brother. See, this is the deal. We don't control the main portion of the body and the presidency. You got the Senate controlled by Mitch McConnell. Ain't nothing getting through them. So
okay, how they get a federal probe against the land bank? How do you get a federal probe?
Because that's a different deal. The land bank is a fix to some kind of subsidy that comes out of a body of work.
Cohesion.
Okay, so the federal government don't get involved with civil rights issues when you say
they do.
Sure they do.
They do.
Hold on a second.
But the Republican Party controls the civil rights division.
They're going to tell the attorneys how far they're going to go and how aggressive they're going to be.
Yes, right.
Okay, so women being charged more than male drivers, is that a civil rights issue? That's proof? Yes or no?
Say that again.
When women are charged more for insurance premiums than men,
sir. The bottom line is this.
If it's by the same company.
Yeah, but sir, the bottom line is this. I would support anything that brings insurance reform, but you're not going to get it through the Congress or the federal government right now because you got Donald Trump controlling the judiciary and you got the Republicans controlling the Senate.
And plus the federal government is going to say that's a state issue. You got to take care of it. Because there's 50 different insurance commissions.
Civil rights has never been a state issue, Bob. Civil rights has never been a state issue.
Yeah, but no fault is a state issue.
It is.
But you can't use discriminatory practices to set rates against unfortunate people. You can't do that. You can't use disparaging practices. Now, you both are lawyers, but I'm just saying.
We got all the callers.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Ray. We appreciate it. Okay. All right, thanks. You have a great Sunday. Theo, you're on with the panel.
Well, thank you, and happy Sunday to all of you.
You too.
You all are sitting next to a Hood Research member. Did you know that?
A what?
Hood
Research member.
Scotty Boman is a member of the research. And we're going to be meeting this coming Saturday at 2 o'clock at the Dabo Center. I have a question. Matter of fact, I got two. One, do you remember before the 70s, didn't people have a choice as to whether or not they wanted to purchase automobile insurance? Wasn't that the case? If you didn't want it, you didn't have to buy it. But then when the no-fault came in, then all of a sudden greed pops up this greedy head. And it became all of these reasons and laws why here in the city of Detroit we could be redlined. You remember that?
Yeah, but Theo, come on, Theo, this is the whole shot. The Republicans control the legislative process, okay? And we got a governor now. It's incremental. So, you know, we can't stop telling people we can do this and do that. We need to find a concrete way to solve this issue, okay?
Yes,
and you're going to have to go, you're going to have to get the Republican Party or somebody that feels for us to work with us, because I'm just tired of the rhetoric of the conversation.
This insurance has been around through a few administrations, including those in which there's Democratic control.
You know, Theo, there are some fixes that you can automatically start to look at. For example, if I have auto insurance and I get in an accident, okay, the State Farm or whoever the auto insurance is, at that point, they have to pay for my medical bills. If I got into an accident that is not auto-related and I have private insurance such as Blue Cross or Blue Shield, compare the cost of an MRI for the private insurance situation versus one involving the car insurance.
Oh,
they're
exactly.
they're like 600% or 700% higher. All you need to do is say, you know what? You're going to have the same percentage as if it wasn't an auto accident. You got to charge the same rate. That's part of that. I mean, that is a simple solution to start automatically to start driving the costs down. But you can't even get that through.
Yeah, and the politicians will pretend.
I agree with that.
The legislative body is discombobulated.
Yeah, the politicians will pretend that they're trying to get serious about insurance reform, but the thing Bob just mentioned is the thing that I always look for, and I always say, look, if you're not willing to address that disparity, then you're not serious about insurance reform.
I agree. Now, I have another question getting back to politics. There are people who decide that they want to run for office. I am of the opinion that the individual should take his little cheeks down to the county clerk's office and register. Have his or her treasurer with him or her to register, rather than participate in some group that wants to raise money to support candidates. I got issues with that.
Well, you know what? That brings up an interesting issue, because the Black Caucus on the national scale, the Democratic Party has said that they are not going to allow any consultant that works in a primary to be part of the general election after the primaries are done. And they're also saying that they don't want big PACs to be supportive of Democratic candidates. And the African American Caucus has said, wait a minute, there are some special PACs that just help candidates that you're not willing to fund, but they're willing to come forward and to help the African American candidate. If you're saying that you're against all the big PACs, then you're saying that these PACs that are set up to help African American candidates, you're harming them as well in that process.
They don't want to give us some money on top of it.
Right.
They want to dictate to us.
The larger PACs, the Democratic PACs, won't give them the money.
Right.
And they're trying to cut off the actual African-American PACs that do supply candidates and normally don't get the money from the
Bob, you
from
know
the
this,
large
been in
PACs.
politics all your life, and Scotty, these guys become millionaires off these campaigns.
Oh, yeah.
These guys, they wait till federal elections, and guess what? Money comes from everywhere, and guess what? Who getting the hookups? The same people, Bob.
Yeah, same consultants.
The money needs to go to the individual candidate's account. Right?
But the bottom line is, Theo, the bottom line is, if you're going to run for office, you got to know where you're going to put some skin in the game, too.
Well, I'm interested in hearing the rest of what Theo was saying because she was starting to say something.
I don't have a problem with raising money to help the candidates, but if you're putting money into a pool, who is going to decide which candidate gets the money out of that pool? So why?
Well, that's one of the problems they're fighting over with the Democratic National Committee, is that people like Cortez says, I'm going to primary people, and they're saying, wait, we're raising the money, and if we have incumbents that are, good.
Well, and it's kind of a
policy
workaround for individual contribution limits. I think she has a point. How would you feel about getting rid of the individual contribution limits, but having it being transparent exactly who's contributing what?
Oh, definitely. I don't have any problem knowing who is contributing, but we do have a PAC out there now that is secret, right? The super PAC put money in.
Yeah, they play with the nonprofit laws to make themselves that you don't have to show the donors. I'm not completely up on how they do that, but they will do that. I'll be truthful, Democrats as well as Republicans use it. I mean, one of the problems you have is, unfortunately, what happened with our current governor is that she had a PAC, and they have been there have been a lot of issues about the donors that were supporting her haven't been transparent about it.
Bob, in the final analysis is this: the people who need government the most get hurt by all this garbage.
Because they're not the squeaky wheel.
Yes, right. Those same folks, if you look at the same Democratic infrastructure, it's the same ones getting all the contracts. They controlling the agenda. And guess what? And then they come to us, black folks, it's time for you to step up and go out and vote. We're voting, Bob. We're voting, but not of the magnitude that they want us to vote so they can keep power.
Yeah. And we definitely have to be aware of the background of anyone who comes bearing gifts saying, okay, I want you all to contribute to my account, and I'm going to help the candidates, not mentioning who now, the candidates run. And sometimes the money ends up being funneled to one candidate.
It's no secret. I think like Rashida, she had a national network that was organizing for her gave her a lot of money to run, which is, and it's legal, the way that it's set up. I don't believe any of the African-American candidates have it.
Took a salary out of the money, too.
Yeah, it took a salary out of it.
I'm wondering how much, what contributions came from that woman that has been getting all those grants from the city, that woman who's been apparently dating Mike Duggan.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah, there's a free press story
What stuck
on
out
it.
to me about that story was, though, that they had seen them arriving at the same suburban residence together, and I'm just wondering how much time is he then spending?
Well, this is all a dispute between
Detroit?
Mike Duggan right now and Bob Carmack over a piece of land that Bob Carmack claims he should have had the ownership of, and he was running banners during opening day and everything else. It's turned really ugly, and the Free Press published her name for the first time because they said there were public money involved. Nobody has been publishing her name at this point, but that's for a story probably for another day because we're running a little bit out of time here. So,
can I ask you one last question? Sure. As Sam, you all were speaking about Bernie Sanders, is it true that when the election was over that he spent $600, I guess, of campaign funds on a home? And secondly, he refuses to show his tax return.
That's what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I don't know about him spending money on his house or something.
$600,000. I don't know, but that's.
I think he bought a house for $600,000. I don't know if he bought it out of the campaign funds per se.
Bernie, we should stop wasting our time talking about Bernie.
And he won't disclose his taxes. I mean, the same thing that the Congress is going after Trump on. One of the leading candidates in the Democratic primaries won't show his.
Right.
So, I mean, how are we going to say, that's fair for us to go after one, but you don't have to show us yours? That's one of the problems that you run into. Theo, you have a great Sunday. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. Walter, you're on with the panel here.
Hey, you know what? I try to make common ground with you two guys, but, man, I hear some of the stuff you say when you quote non-truths. Now, let me explain myself. You mentioned one or two things, Bob. You mentioned that what have you're in a question, what have Donald Trump done for blacks? Number one, have you heard about prison reform?
Man, come on, that's a joke too. He only doing that trying to keep his butt out of jail and trying to get people like you and get people like you to call in and talk about prison reform. Okay, brother.
Hey, sometimes people do good things for bad reasons.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he's doing it because some of his biggest contributors, like the Koch brothers, you know what? They look at it, and they look at government and the cost of the prison. They say, we don't want to pay taxes for that, right? So they bundle it up and say it's prison reform. The liberals say, well, we don't think people should be locked up for a lot of those reasons either. So their interests happen to come together, and Trump happens to be the beneficiary of that.
That was bipartisan support with the Democrats.
Yeah, well, they drank the Kool-Aid too, just like you.
Well, there you go, opening your big mouth, talking too much.
No, I'm not opening my big mouth. You calling with that crazy stuff. You purporting to know Donald Trump, and he's a nut, a liar, and he's crazy like you.
Street preacher. Be quiet, street preacher.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Bob.
Right,
you have a good one.
Have a good Sunday there. Thanks. Okay.
Are we supposed to have big mouths?
Yeah.
We're here.
That's why you're on the radio, right? That's
right.
part of it. Oh man! So it's been an interesting couple hours here with everyone. There's going to be some interesting stories that are probably going to keep pumping up. I'm guessing over the next week or so. That's going to be of interest to a lot of
Somebody
people.
wrote on Facebook, when it comes down to certain people, everybody's quiet on Facebook. And Scotty tried to allude to it.
Yeah.
It says quiet on Facebook, but if it's somebody else's issue, they want to kill you on Facebook. But when it comes down to certain people, they don't talk about it on Facebook.
Talk about it on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's. I know Scotty was alluding to the issue that the mayor, with the free press and what was going on with it. The problem was it crossed into private boundaries, which is real difficult. Now, if there is the allegation that there was public money used to it, then that will allow the media media companies to start, or the media to start follow this and to actually become aggressive about it. But I think as long as it was viewed as a private matter and that you had really a disgruntled taxpayer or a person who thought they should have got the land at that point, they sort of stay away from it. But now it's crossed over, and perhaps it will include some of the public money, so it becomes more fair game for the media to actually
Bob, isn't that between him and his God? We're now going into people's personal lives to destroy people. And they did, and Kwame went to the same thing, man. I'm sick of these folks always talking about holier than thou stuff, but they need to look in their closet.
Yeah, well, I think what Robert brought up, though, the main thing is because there's apparently this woman getting significant grants from the city that she may have perceived preferential treatment because of the private relationship. So now the private relationship becomes our business. Whereas I agree, a private relationship really is irrelevant to a public servant if that's all it is a private relationship. Yeah. It's irrelevant to the rest of us. But as soon as it's involving public money, it's a different story.
I guess the one thing about the article that I was concerned about is that it said that there was fundraising and stuff, but no fundraising actually. They set up the structure to do the fundraising, but no fundraising actually occurred. And that was part of the whole thing that sort of spiced up the article, for lack of a better word. But if they actually did not do the fundraising, why is that as important or so prominent in the article that they set the template up to do that? It's I don't know. It raises a lot of issues, and it's not easy. It's not easy whatsoever. Being in public office, you're in that fishbowl no matter what.
Don't get in if you don't want to get hit.
That's right. Well, I appreciate everybody being here today. I want to thank especially our board operator here. She does an outstanding job, and appreciate very, very much her efforts. That's this part of it. I want to thank Keith and for Scotty coming in, and we most of all want to thank all of you for calling in, being part of the program, 910 AM The Superstation, and we will be back with you next Sunday.
Hi, I'm